Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are diving headfirst into, well, a whirlwind of romance that moves at the speed of light.
hmm
It combines high-stakes job loss, this ridiculously messy attraction, and a central crime that involves a very important chicken.
A very talented chicken at that.
Exactly. We are talking about Janet Evanovich's Foul Play. It's this delightful, chaotic piece of her early work written well before her famous Plum series.
Right.
So this is our mission for this deep dive, to really dissect this high-octane narrative of love at first sight, sudden unemployment, and this peculiar poultry-related crime.
It's just an excellent study in narrative efficiency. I mean, that's a hallmark of Ivanovich's writing, isn't it?
For sure.
We're looking at a text that operates as like pure screwball comedy, and it's built on these wonderfully dramatic and, instantly relatable emotional stakes.
Like what specifically?
Specifically, that feeling like your life has just been ruined by something utterly and completely absurd.
Right.
And what's particularly relevant about this source material right now is that Foul Play is one of 12 of her early romance novels.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, 9 from the Love Swift line, 3 from Second Chance at Love, and the author is re-releasing them. It gives us this fascinating look back at the origins of her signature voice.
I think that context is so key, and she doesn't bury it. If you look at the author's note, it gives you such immediate and necessary color for the kind of world we are about to enter.
It does.
It grounds the chaos, doesn't it? It suggests that even the most ridiculous narrative stems from, a very real, authentic understanding of pet owner absurdity.
Exactly. The dedication itself is a major clue. The book is dedicated to Kenneth Wright, veterinarian extraordinaire.
Which sets the stage for our hero, Dr. Elliott, the DVM.
The DVM, who manages professional chaos every single day. But the true inspiration for the central theme of veterinary calamity is Ivanovich's own beloved beagle, Kathy, affectionately known as Beans.
And Beans, who is the true muse of domestic mayhem here, sounds like an absolute force of nature.
Oh, yeah.
The author notes that Beans wasn't just naughty. She was a genius at finding trouble.
I love that line.
Her resume of destruction included eating everything from loose change, underwear, houseplants, to, get this, whole ham smelling off the table.
A whole ham. That's not negligence on the owner's part. That's just, pure high-level domestic anarchy.
Completely.
And that specific detail about the hams and the underwear, that's what sets the baseline expectation for you, the listener. This dedicated veterinarian, Kenneth Wright, he had to deal with the clinical realities of a dog who ingested enough foreign objects and toxins.
Right, like the loose change and chemical runoff poisoning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To require a vet who was simultaneously brilliant, empathetic, and just constantly prepared for the utterly bizarre.
So if a DVM can handle patching up a liver ravaged by chemical runoff,
Then he is psychologically ready to handle a woman whose life, career, and grocery cart are in constant shambles.
it perfectly prepares us for Jacob Elliott. So our core themes here are simple. The speed and intensity of love at first sight, and the completely relatable struggle of a capable woman whose professional identity is destroyed by, of all things, a chicken.
A very talented chicken.
We have to keep saying that. So our mission is to analyze how this narrative structure, this blend of absurd conflict and high-velocity emotion, manages to feel simultaneously hilarious and deeply convincing. We're analyzing the mechanics of this rapid-fire
So
story.
we're looking for those essential nuggets of insight.
Yeah.
How does Ivanovich use setting and specific character traits to just bypass that lengthy vetting period that's usually required for an instant sustainable romance?
Let's jump right into that initial encounter then.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's unpack this meet cute. We start with Jacob Elliott, the DVM, and he's sitting in his Jeep just waiting for a parking spot at the supermarket. His distinct professional characteristic is established immediately. He remembers every dog, like Mrs. Moyer's Harold, who's frantically clawing at the window, but he's not especially good at remembering people.
Which is a classic romantic hero setup, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's professionally brilliant, a DVM, but socially he's a little awkward, a little detached.
Right, it implies he needs a grounding, humanizing force.
Yeah, he's basically a professional slob who requires organization, which makes him inherently vulnerable to a strong, structured partner. So he's sitting there debating the merits of this peculiarity when order gives way to this beautiful cherry red chaos in the form of Amy Klasse.
And Amy's entrance is the absolute antithesis of orderly waiting. Her gleaming cherry red sports car just zips around the corner and aggressively steals the exact parking spot Jake was patiently waiting for.
She doesn't just take it, she steals it.
She steals it, and she emerges in a furious huff. Her emotional state is already at a 10.
And this is where the screwball comedy genre analysis really starts to, pay off. The attraction isn't built on a slow romantic glance across a crowded room.
No.
It's founded on a public act of physical, just uninhibited frustration. In her rage, Amy slams the car door, and it catches the hem of her swirly pink skirt.
Oh, the skirt!
The skirt. And instead of showing embarrassment or, pausing to fix it, she just gives this defiant yank and tears off half a yard of pink material. She leaves the cloth held hostage by the car.
She doesn't even look back at the tattered skirt. She just storms off. And this display immediately confirms two things to Jake. First, she is operating at a level of fury he finds just magnetic. And second, she has this extraordinary capacity to walk away from disaster. He just watches her disappear, fists clenched, and he is wide-eyed and slack-jawed in disbelief.
And that precise, overwhelming observation is the launch pad for the whole love at first sight premise. The source material says it unequivocally. He felt a smile creep into the corners of his mouth and a disturbing rush of heat burn across his belly. He was in love.
Instantly.
Instantly. The attraction is founded not on traditional beauty or demureness, but on observing this dramatic, uninhibited chaos. She's outraged, she's clumsy, and yet she's undeniably sexy to him because she embodies the emotional intensity that he's missing.
I really appreciate that detail, that she's not sexy by, centerfold standards, but her capacity for fury and resilience is what gets his heart rate up.
Right.
He likes that she's not a woman whose life would be ruined by a broken fingernail, and that's a huge compliment for Amy, that her messiness is actually seen as a strength.
It absolutely confirms their compatibility.
Yeah.
Jake's life as a DVM is built on dealing with urgent, messy, unforeseen disasters.
All day, every day.
So he sees Amy and he recognizes a kindred spirit, one who handles catastrophe with dramatic flair.
Yeah.
And that brings us immediately into the supermarket meltdown,
Yes.
where her external actions just perfectly mirror her internal psychological state.
She is fuming, still muttering expletives and feeling that life is completely unfair because she has been unemployed for exactly 35 minutes, all because of a chicken.
The chicken again?
Always the chicken. And she's on a mission to destroy something, and the grocery cart is her weapon of choice.
This is such classic screwball slapstick.
Yeah.
But it's used for psychological effect. She viciously pushes the cart, grabs a grapefruit that she thunks against her forehead, and thunk. The rest of the grapefruits just hurl themselves onto the floor like so many lemmings, making the final fatal migration.
It's an immediate visual representation of her feeling completely out of control.
Totally.
And Jake, the newly smitten spectator, even stops one of the escapee grapefruits with his foot and flips it into the air. He's already participating in her path of destruction.
He's playing along.
He is. But then we get to the tragedy of the eggs.
Oh, the egg disaster is such a pivotal moment of metaphor. Jake just watches in silent horror, and she manages to grasp only the top lid of a carton.
Oh, no.
Spilling the entire dozen, which instantly explode and slime across the immaculate glass case.
And this leads to her self-diagnosis, which is one of those great little nuggets Evanovich drops in. Those eggs were like her life scrambled. And she decides she hates eggs because they remind her of chickens, which in turn stole her job. Her external chaos is a direct, proportional reflection of the absurdity of the internal trauma she is facing.
Exactly. The narrative doesn't waste time explaining her emotional state. It just shows it through the destruction of produce.
And it's not over.
No, the destruction isn't finished. She goes for the spaghetti fixings, grabs a bag of cat litter, and she's trying to compose herself.
But she's still leaking. She unintentionally leaves this trail of cat litter, the absorbent kind, which is so much worse.
So much worse.
Winding through the bulk food and sanitary product aisles. And this is where Jake's attraction turns. Well, it turns calculated.
It really does. He sees the tear in the bottom of the cat litter bag.
Yeah.
And this is the moment where I have to call out his behavior. I mean, he could warn her.
He should warn.
He absolutely should warn her, but he doesn't. He finds it much more fun to observe her at a distance and follow the granules.
I did.
I mean, letting a woman trail cat litter through a supermarket is a pretty major red flag, isn't it?
It's a huge red flag. It's deeply manipulative, but in the context of this specific genre, it's a necessary plot device. It signals that Jake the DVM, is perfectly comfortable with her level of mess,
Right.
and that he is actively choosing to engage with it rather than try to correct her. He is stalking her, yes, but with a romantic intent, using her chaos as a map.
And he's also strategically positioning himself because he's already deduced that Calamity Jane didn't have a purse.
The timing is everything. He pursues her leisurely, strategically selecting a bottle of Burgundy and a Fraisin pie fuel for their inevitable date.
Already planning it.
Already planning it. And he positions himself directly behind her at the checkout. He's anxious about her marital status, reassuring himself, maybe a little morbidly, that maybe she already ran her husband over with that flashy red car.
Which confirms his willingness to ignore all norms in pursuit of this feeling.
It does. And then the moment of truth. Amy's total hits $43.76, and she realizes the purse is in her locker. Total panic. Jake leans forward, initiating the rescue, and uses the perfectly calculated question to determine her status. Your husband.
And her reply is the ultimate green light. I don't have a husband.
He controls his smile, knowing he's just won the lottery. He offers to loan her the money, though he pairs this generosity with a slight insult, noting that you do look a little, unkempt.
Again, we see this strange dynamic where he's critiquing her, but is also utterly captivated by her disheveled state.
He immediately pivots to the dinner deal, leveraging his own culinary shortcomings. My culinary skills stop at defrosting.
Classic.
He proposes a trade. He'll pay for her entire elaborate grocery haul if she will make him a home-cooked meal.
And Amy is, understandably suspicious. She's analyzing him. 6 feet tall, broad shoulders, slim hips, running shoes held together with surgical tape.
And a dashing smile any pirate would have been proud to own. She thinks he might be hell on single women.
Which is a fair assessment given the cat litter behavior.
Absolutely. But this is where Evanovich uses the power of small-town community social capital as this incredibly efficient plot device to bypass her suspicion.
Yeah, the grocery checkers immediately jump in with these character endorsements, which are so specific and powerful.
They are crucial nuggets of insight into Jake's true character.
Honey, this is Dr. Elliott. Everyone knows Dr. Elliott. He owns the veterinary clinic just around the corner.
And then Dr. Elliott saved Sarah Maxwell's cat.
And the clincher. He nursed Franny New Farmer's beagle back to health when it was poisoned by the gardening service.
He leverages that specific professional trust. I mean, a man who sleeps in his office for a week watching over a poisoned beagle is clearly honorable.
Sure.
To seal the deal. She still protests, but she knows her keys are locked in the car. So Dick calmly pays for both carts, establishing this immediate financial dominance, and escorts her to his purple job. The contract is signed, sealed, and delivered via the unimpeachable reputation of the DVM.
And the contrast between their transportation methods really highlights their differing approaches to life, doesn't it?
Oh, completely.
Amy's sleek, pristine red sports car reflects her desire for outward control and status.
Right.
And Jake's vehicle, which, and I quote Fred Flintstone, would have rejected, is this big, square, purple job. More maroon, really splattered with mud and rust.
With the coat hanger antenna and the bumper sticker. Have you hugged your veterinarian today?
It's perfect. It just reflects his internal comfort with mess and a total lack of self-consciousness.
It's the paradox of the capable, honorable man driving an absolute atrocity. So while they're driving, she reveals the core trauma that led to the supermarket meltdown.
Let me guess. The chicken.
The chicken. She was Lulu the clown, known for their long, slender legs clad in red and white striped stockings, and she was replaced by an antagonist of the highest order.
A 7-pound Rhode Island red that can cluck the Star-Spangled Banner and count with its stupid chicken toes.
Exactly. The level of absurdity is key here. Amy had a legitimate career using these unorthodox methods, like embodying Katie Kitten or Annie Oakley, to teach first grade.
Right. And then she leaped to local TV after reading The Little Engine That Could to the station manager.
And she was fired by the new manager because the show needed a fresh face, or rather a fresh beak.
So the chicken becomes the ultimate absurdist antagonist.
Yeah.
It personifies these forces of superficial corporate change that just ruined her identity.
And Jake, upon hearing this, is instantly adorably protective. He admits to himself, good Lord, he silently groaned. How could he be so besotted by someone he'd only known for 10 minutes?
And his devotion is immediate and total.
Yeah.
It's driven by the need to protect her from anyone who doesn't appreciate her.
We then get insight into their living situations, which just confirms their compatibility. Jake's roommates are Spot, a sleek, shiny ebony dog named Spot, simply because Jake always wanted a dog named Spot.
I love that. And Ida, a big green bird who just screeches her own name.
while Amy, who is the more reserved one, lives with just a cat.
And Jake's strategic questioning when she mentions her cat is fascinating. He wants to know. No mother, father, sister, brother, girlfriend, boyfriend, maid nat.
He is thrilled to discover she is truly unattached. The field is clear for the high-speed romance.
And he immediately pitches the job offer. He admits he needs a receptionist, like a hole in the head, but he'll pay her a modest salary just to keep her close.
Amy, having lost her job and ruined her skirt, she panics, but she accepts, setting the ground rules. And no kisses.
She intends to be friendly but professional. She's trying to build this wall of tidy emotions against the chaos she's just invited into her life.
But the chaos doesn't end. When they arrive at her home, the atmosphere shifts. Her brick Cape Cod is a little overgrown, which is an understatement.
Jake notes by thinking she could lose a rhinoceros in that lawn. And the spreading juniper bush at the stoop is so dense he dubs it Jaws.
The physical setting of her house immediately initiates the physical confrontation. They're standing at the stoop, and the atmosphere shifts from joking to husky intimacy.
Right. Jake moves in for the kiss, and Amy, nervous about the first kiss, takes a small step backward, a defensive maneuver that fails spectacularly.
It really does. She falls off the stoop and right into the blooming forsythia.
A magnificent, hilarious failure of romance. She ends up waving two slim legs amidst the leaves and flowers, providing Jake with a flash of pink panties that perfectly matches her tattered skirt.
This accidental catastrophe forces her to articulate her vulnerability. I always get nervous about the first kiss.
And Jake, recognizing the high stakes and her honesty, decides they need to bypass the anxiety. He's just going to get the damn thing over with.
And the resulting kiss is deep, passionate, and totally magical to Amy. This scene is a perfect microcosm of their relationship. Their emotional honesty is always born out of physical catastrophe.
That magic continues straight into the drunken dinner scene.
Oh, yes.
Amy, who never drinks anything stronger than root beer, gets snockered on one glass of Burgundy.
Just one. And she attempts to make the meatballs, plunging her fist into the mixture and declaring, "Whoop!" before they realize they're out of breadcrumbs.
She's instantly unhungry, just leaning against the counter, declaring, "I'm drunk as a skunk," and starting to attack him.
She walks her fingers up his shirt, she nibbles his throat, and her hands find their way to his backside. Jake is struggling to maintain control because the libidinous desire is so intense.
And this emotional and physical chaos culminates in the momentous occasion confession. Amy reveals she is a 26-year-old virgin and asks him if he'll be her first.
This is the critical moment for Jake's characterization. He is utterly surprised, but he finds it refreshing.
Right.
The key insight here is his immediate internal decision. He realizes that if she's waiting for marriage, that's fine because he'd already decided to marry her. The marriage decision precedes the sexual one.
That decision to commit, before ever having sex, before knowing her for even 24 hours, that's what defines the Evanovich romance hero. But hold on, is it truly honorable that Jake, having stalked her with cat litter, now uses her drunken vulnerability to confirm her marital status before pulling back?
That's a good question.
Or is he just being calculating about his long-term goal, knowing that by respecting her boundary, he secures her trust completely?
I think it's a strategic choice, designed to maintain his Sir Galahad status, which Amy desperately needs. The lust is undeniably real. He is fighting the temptation presented by her flimsy panties and wispy lace bras.
So he dresses her and puts her to bed.
Right. Fulfilling his honorable persona, despite her giving him this frustrated, drunk darn when he refuses to deflower her.
And the fact that she attributes her current frustration with virginity to the chicken is just a brilliant note of absurdity.
It always comes back to the chicken.
It does. And Jake remains the perfect gentleman, closing the bedroom door, leaving her alone, and settling for pouring himself wine and popping a frozen chicken dinner in the oven. The integrity is intact, but only after a monumental struggle against his own intense physical reaction.
He has successfully created the foundation of trust Amy requires to handle the inevitable chaos that's coming next.
And it comes fast.
The very next morning, Jake has helped himself to her house key and is still there. He brings her French toast and a delicate, pale pink rose, the same shade as your skirt and your cheeks.
He's already committed to this whole domestic ritual.
He is, and the embarrassment of her drunken antics is instantly soothed by his affection, confirming his honorable intentions. When she nervously tries to figure out if they had the momentous occasion, Jake just teases her, but confirms they only discussed gardening.
This gentle handling of her vulnerability is what cements his status as the Superman syndrome hero she believes him to be. And she accepts the receptionist job, agreeing to start that afternoon.
And her welcome to the professional chaos of Jacob Elliott, DVM, is immediate. She arrives on her bike, only to immediately step into a soft, malodorous brown mound in the parking lot.
A very literal introduction to the reality of veterinary life.
He really is.
And the clinic ecosystem is a character in itself. Jake's office is a perpetual disaster zone. Manila folders, apple cores, newspapers, phone numbers scribbled on the wall.
The inhabitants, too.
Yeah.
Spike, a massive yellow tomcat with one eye and half a tail. Ida, a big green bird who just screeches her own name. And then there's Alan Logan,
Jake's happily married partner and resident bear. He provides this grounded contrast to Jake's impulsiveness.
And Amy, raised in a military household and possessing tidy emotions, immediately begins to bring organizational structure.
Yes. Files are filed, messages stacked, appointments scheduled. Alan, the partner, is amazed that they might actually need a receptionist because Amy is solving Jake's lifelong problem of operating entirely based on urgency, not organization.
This contrast between Amy's military-grade structure and Jake's philosophical refusal to turn away a patient is really the core of their professional dynamic.
It is. His commitment means constant overflowing waiting rooms and missed appointments. Her arrival is a systemic disruption for the better. And this new order is immediately tested by the first significant catastrophe of the day, the cat fight.
Yes, Mrs. Newfarmer's Great Dane, Brutus, lunges at Mr. Billings' enormous gray cat, Daisy May.
And Daisy May, in an act of spectacular feline self-defense, catapults onto Jake's chest, scratching him and drawing these little pinpricks of blood.
And the dog retreats and has an accident in the corner. Order is briefly restored, but Jake is now forced to reveal his gorgeous body.
He unbuttons his shirt to change, and here's a fascinating nugget of detail. He keeps extra shirts fresh from the cleaners in his desk drawer. It reveals this hidden layer of fastidiousness that Amy finds appealing.
Right. And while she's administering first aid, she's confronted by his physical presence. The enchanting thin line of hair traveling the length of his hard, flat stomach.
Her physical reaction is intense. Her emotional blood pressure just soars. And this physical confrontation makes her think her heart rate couldn't get any faster. But then tragedy strikes, introducing true emotional stakes.
A small boy arrives carrying a bloody, inert cockapoo puppy hit by a car.
And this is the visual that pushes Amy past her emotional breaking point. It wasn't the petty chaos or the professional mess that defeated her.
No.
It was the real, urgent tragedy of a suffering animal. She shouts, "Dr. Elliott," and faints dead away. This is such a profound moment because it confirms that despite her tidy exterior, she has this deep, raw empathy.
When she wakes up, Jake, who has seen her drunken antics and her supermarket destruction, is terrified but also incredibly affectionate. Amy realizes she's falling in love with the real worried man, not the fantasy of Superman syndrome.
And just as it solidified this emotional foundation, the catalyst for the entire escalating conflict enters the scene.
Red, the rooster.
Red the rooster. Veronica Bottles, described by Amy as having mega cleavage, brings in Red, who is lifeless.
And Veronica is the curvy brunette trainer who took Amy's job, ensuring the professional rivalry is immediately physical and intense.
Right. And Jake, the DVM, whispers his professional opinion to Amy. The prognosis is not good. Red has cockadoodled his last doodle.
But he puts Red in intensive care and runs tests anyway. Veronica, meanwhile, describes the rooster's tragic narrative. All those years on a dirty old chicken farm, and just when he makes it big, tragedy strikes.
And tragedy strikes again that evening. Red is discovered missing rooster-napped.
The media, already tipped off by a police report, descends immediately. Minicams and reporters just engulf the clinic, elevating this absurd plot point to a serious public spectacle.
And this is where Brian Turner, the station manager who hired the chicken, appears. Turner, with his narrow blade of a nose, immediately points the finger at Amy, stating that Lulu the clown had every reason to hate Rhode Island Red. The media loves it.
Of course they do.
And the scene climaxes with this brilliant piece of physical comedy and character-based sabotage. Amy, jostled by Jake, drops her homemade lunch basket. It lands with a loud thunk,
revealing a clear plastic container of soup nestled next to biscuits.
And Turner's fatal hysterical gasp is the definitive moment of scandal. Wait a second, that's chicken soup, so it could be rooster soup.
The accusation of cannibalizing her competition is instantly public. It leads to headlines like rustling and how about beaking and entering. This isn't just professional rivalry anymore, it's a serious threat.
It is. Amy's humiliation leads to the police requesting to examine her garbage, a formality, but incredibly violating and embarrassing.
And the consequence is immediate and serious for Jake's professional life. They get 4 cancellations the very next morning from clients who didn't want their beloved pets in the hands of a clinic that employed a woman accused of eating her competition for lunch.
This external pressure forces Jake, the man who runs from commitment, to become the aggressive investigator.
He decides to play detective, citing his extensive research from watching Beverly Hills Cop 3 times. He then compounds this lie with another. He claims he runs every day, when in fact he hates it and prefers fast sprints to the refrigerator. He just desperately wants to run with Amy, believing it's necessary bonding.
And the jogging debacle is pure psychological torment for Jake. They start out companionably, but Amy, the serious athlete, soon leads him onto a dirt path and up the Matterhorn, this long, endless uphill grade.
Jake is immediately working on near death. His internal monologue is fantastic. He's silently bargaining with the fates, promising to never eat another donut if he can just survive.
This scene perfectly reveals Jake's vulnerability and his commitment. He is willing to endure physical agony to maintain this false front of fitness for Amy.
And meanwhile, Amy runs effortlessly, thinking about Jake's realness compared to her hollow ex-fiancé Jeff. She's completely missed the irony that Jake is struggling to keep up with her physically and emotionally.
He realizes that if she has this kind of stamina on the jogging path, what would she be like in bed? And the fear of failure suddenly becomes this powerful, immediate motivator. He refuses her offer of steak dinner, claiming he needs to go work out at the gym Nautilus swim because he fears she will discover he can't keep up with her sexually.
This fear of inadequacy, rooted in her superior athletic prowess, drives him back out the door.
Exactly. And it proves how deeply he cares for her esteem and how quickly he's moved past mere lust to genuine, panicked commitment.
Jake's accelerated desire to solve the crime and conquer his own insecurities just drives the investigation forward. He realizes his slow, backfiring purple job is insufficient for detective work, so they switch to Amy's sleek, low-slung red sports car.
And he drives it recklessly, experiencing this raw adrenaline of speed, shouting, "What pickup?" Amy, clutching the dashboard, warns him that the car will crumple at the smallest bump.
Their argument about adrenaline and testosterone leads Amy to an internal revelation. Jake is usually the epitome of self-control, a brick. And this willingness to get carried away on the road is starting to annoy her.
But also
Confirming his intense hidden passion.
Right, so they stop at Jake's dump of an apartment so he can retrieve his detective equipment, binoculars, and a camera.
And the apartment is impossibly cluttered. Vacuum in the middle of the rug, Sports Illustrated acting as a placemat, laundry dumped in an easy chair.
But Amy likes that. She likes that Jake misses the sense of space and order he had as a kid. She connects his longing for order to her own organized nature. She sees herself as the solution to his domestic chaos.
A perfect match. So they stake out Turner's expensive townhouse. When a car pulls in, Jake immediately pulls Amy down across the gear shift, covering her with his body to hide from the headlights.
And the occupants are?
Veronica Bottles and Brian Turner.
Of course. And the physical act of hiding leads instantly back to passion. Jake kisses her intensely, declaring, "I think I've just found another good reason why I'm doing this."
They stop hiding and start loving, realizing they've been swept away by the adrenaline of the moment. And Amy realizes she hadn't wanted to stop. The thrill of the chase is fueling the attraction.
Then Jake needs a better vantage point. He hoists her into a tree to spy through the upstairs bay window.
And Amy, the former wholesome children's show host, witnesses an X-rated scene. Turner and Veronica are kissing, fondling, and talking.
Her horrified whispered report culminates in the hilarious line, "She just put her hand on his..." and
Jake, desperate to get the full picture while maintaining cover, practically shouts, demanding to know what she put her hand on.
This juxtaposition of high-stakes, lust, and ridiculous snooping is the very definition of the screwball tone. It's innocence colliding violently with reality, accelerated by the rush of the illegal act.
Their momentum continues. They drive to the clinic to get Veronica's address, only to discover a squad car there. A second break-in attempt occurred just a half hour earlier.
And the night attendant was bonked on the head by the door.
This is a major pivot in the investigation. Turner was busy with Veronica, so the break-in couldn't have been him. Jake is puzzled, noting that there is no possible reason for her to want to get into the office.
But Amy, fully embracing her new role as Miss Marple, suggests maybe Veronica returned to the scene of the crime to retrieve or get rid of evidence.
Following that thread, they drive to Veronica's apartment. Jake uses a credit card to open the door, claiming the police taught him.
Which is a perfect example of his casual disregard for the law when it suits his highly moral goal of protecting Amy.
It is. They search and find no sign of any rooster paraphernalia.
And then, the ultimate moment of claustrophobic, physical comedy. Veronica returns and Jake pushes Amy into a closet. They are locked together spoon fashion.
Her perfect derriere pressed against his zipper. The physical tension is overwhelming.
Jake's internal panic is hilarious. He feels ridiculously libidinous because he can't control his attraction in this absurd, compromising position. Her physical proximity in a dark, tight space is just too much for his control.
Amy asks if he's nervous. He confirms, "I'm ridiculously libidinous." And she feels this rush of heat and adrenaline, realizing the danger makes her feel bold.
And Veronica throws her dress and kicks her shoes into the closet, inches away from them, completely unaware of their presence. The physical comedy of their predicament pushes their intimacy further than any calculated date ever could have.
They escape after Veronica enters the shower, but Jake insists on checking the dumpster. He climbs in and emerges with Red's empty cage.
And Amy is filled with dread. He's dead, isn't he? They realize the initial assumption of rooster napping was wrong. The bird was simply gone.
This sends Amy into a retreat. She flees to Baltimore for a hideout, taking a temporary weather girl job. She thinks she's escaping the stress, but in reality, she's heartbroken and running from the intensity of her feelings.
And she's predictably the worst weather girl in the history of television. She's just mumbling through the forecast, saying things like, "It's nice out," and "It's dark."
It's so sad.
Meanwhile, back at the clinic 5 days later, the final pieces of the mystery fall into place. Veronica Bottles, having realized the media coverage ruined Jake and Amy's relationship, decides to confess.
So she tells Jake and Alan that she came back the night Red went missing, found him dead.
Little chicken feet sticking up Bloat City.
Right. And unsure what to do with the expensive celebrity poultry, she decided to treat him like any other bird.
She wrapped it in aluminum foil and put it in your freezer, labeled simply chicken.
Chicken!
Just chicken. So Jake and Alan race to the kitchenette, retrieve the package, and realize the entire bizarre scandal, the police investigation, the break-ins, Amy's humiliation, the media frenzy,
all of it,
was based on Veronica's simple, idiocy-fueled decision to freeze a dead bird, coupled with Brian Turner's malicious cover-up attempt.
This revelation confirms Amy's innocence and validates Jake's unwavering belief in her. Veronica, hoping to get her own exposé, suggests this TV show to clear Jake's name, but Jake has only one priority: finding Amy.
The entire national scandal was built on an information void and an improperly labeled freezer package.
So Jake tracks Amy down via the Baltimore news station, arriving in his new car, a black, racy, powerful vehicle because the purple job finally died.
He has shed the last vestige of his old messy life for her.
He has. And he confronts her, silent and enigmatic, just radiating virility and health, while she is exhausted and miserable.
He literally carries her home, confirming her acceptance of his strength and stability. And they spend the night together, finally making love, which confirms the intense connection she had always felt but feared.
Amy, having faced her fears, is now ready for the commitment.
Finally.
The final beautiful scene occurs at the breakfast table. Jake, anxious about doing it right, tries to propose. He's worried he's going bald and detects the beginnings of a paunch.
In his anxiety, he adds salt to his coffee and stirs it with his fork. He's struggling to maintain the facade of the smooth-talking pirate.
He is. And Amy, having overcome her fear, she prompts him, "Was that what you were trying to do?" He confesses the simple truth, the one he knew in the supermarket parking lot.
"I have loved you since the first moment I saw you."
And she confirms her love, suggesting their marital future, me, Mrs. Elliott.
And Jake's immediate perfect response, closing the loop on his chaotic but ultimately well-intentioned professional life. "Lady, you're in luck. I have a cancellation this afternoon."
They decide to marry immediately, confirming that for them, true chemistry and high-velocity romance just bypass all traditional timelines, including a lengthy engagement.
What a compelling journey into controlled chaos. The trajectory of this story is just a perfect illustration of Ivanovich's command of the high-velocity romance, where the relationship speed is directly proportional to the absurdity of the plot conflict. Jake's unwavering love and confidence were the only anchors Amy had against her emotional upheaval and that external scrutiny.
So here are 3 key takeaways for you. The learner, distilled directly from this deep dive into foul play. These are the nuggets of knowledge you can apply immediately.
Okay, first, velocity of emotion. True chemistry bypasses traditional vetting timelines. Amy and Jake met, fell in love, got engaged, and married within a single week.
A single week?
Their relationship progressed in hours, not months, driven by intense, shared, high-stakes experiences that forced total vulnerability and trust, and that just accelerated their bond past normal societal pacing.
Second takeaway, chaos as compatibility. Amy, who was raised in a military household and valued intense organization, found her perfect match in someone whose professional and domestic life was inherently and continually messy.
Right. Her self-professed unstable emotional state proved to be the complementary force required to organize Jake's chaotic environment, while his messiness provided the thrilling adventure she secretly craved.
And third, the inconvenience of scandal. The entire massively damaging conflict, the media slander, police requests, break-ins, job loss, was based on a dead rooster frozen and mislabeled as chicken.
It just beautifully illustrates how a tiny mundane information void, coupled with malicious intent from a villain like Turner and, basic human idiocy from Veronica, can metastasize into massive, embarrassing, and life-altering public drama.
If we connect this to the author's broader themes, it's so clear that Evanovich consistently uses backgrounds of high-stakes, unconventional professions, like veterinary medicine or tracking down pilots in Alaska to test her relationships. The stability is never domestic.
No, the stability is in the emotional commitment made under extreme pressure.
Exactly.
So, we leave you with this final provocative thought to mull over. Amy had a lifelong pattern of movement and escape, feeling those earth tremors just before she had to leave a place she loved.
Right.
She acted on those tremors even after Jake affirmed his love. She fled to Baltimore despite knowing the entire chicken scandal was collapsing.
Oh.
So was her final decision to marry Jake the permanent break from our habit of running, finding genuine emotional stability in his heart? Or did her newfound boldness, as she called it, after losing her virginity, stem less from quiet love and more from the realization that Jake's life offered a higher, more constant degree of thrilling, high-adrenaline chaos, the type of high-stakes adventure that would prevent her from ever feeling those pesky earth tremors again?
Did she find forever or just a better, more interesting chase? We'll let you decide that one. Thank you for joining the deep dive.